we are going to talk about the tax implications in India on the students leaving India for pursuing Ausbildung course in Germany. Quick reference: I have happened to be acquaintance and friends with quite a few Ausbildung aspirants. One fine day, while I was fast asleep, one of my dear friend disturbed me via call and asked me, भाई अगर मैं ओस बिल्डिंग कोर्स के लिए जर्मनी चला जाता हूँ तो क्या मेरी जर्मनी वाली इनकम इंडिया में टैक्स होगी? At that point of time, I wasn't having a confirmed knowledge, so I'm making this video right now. In this video, we are going to cover following points. First, Ausbildung course in brief. Second, taxability in India, which involves residential status, an example, and when will you leave India will imply what. So let's start. First, what is Ausbildung course? Well, Ausbildung course is a vocational training conducted in Germany for fresh graduates, school leavers. It involves a time span of around 3 to 4 years and a stipend from 800 euros to 1200 euros. It involves professions like electrician, chef, and office administrator, etc. etc. So now move to the next part, which is taxability in India. Taxability in India is decided based on the residential status of person in India. Residential status of person is defined under Section 6 of Income Tax Act 1961. So, as per Income Tax Act 1961, your residential status is divided into two categories. Either you will be considered as non-resident, which is also popularly known as NRI, although only NRIs are not covered in non-resident, other people are also covered, or you will be considered as a resident. Now, the status of resident is further subdivided into resident but not ordinarily resident or resident and ordinarily resident. Okay, moving further. When will you be considered as a resident? So, if any of the following condition gets satisfied, you will be considered as a resident of the India. Then you will have to further decide whether you will be considered as resident but not ordinarily resident or resident and ordinarily resident. The first condition is if your stay in India in one financial year is at least 182 days or more in the financial year. Now the financial year is from 1st April to 31st March of any year. So let's say 1st April 2024 to 31st March 2025 will be considered as one financial year. So to be resident, your stay in India should be 182 days or more, or your stay in India is at least 60 days in the financial year and 365 days in total in 4 years preceding the relevant financial year. Which means, for example, अगर 1st April 2024 से लेके 31st March 2025 के बीच your stay in India is, let's say, 60 days, and in 4 years preceding that, यानी 1st April 2024 से पहले वाले 4 साल में in total आपकी 365 days या उससे ज़्यादा है, then also you will be considered as a resident. Now, the second condition is not applicable in case of employment abroad. If an Indian citizen is leaving India for employment abroad, but in case of Ausbildung, it is more of an apprenticeship training program, education program, which is not considered as a full-time employment abroad. So, point B is still applicable in your case. Okay. Now, one fine question comes up is how my stay is decided? Well, your stay is decided based upon the boarding stamp on your passport. नेचुरल है, आप किसी लीगल तरीके से ही मोस्ट प्रोबेबली इंडिया लीव कर रहे होंगे. सो आपके बोर्डिंग स्टैम्प पे जो पासपोर्ट पे जो बोर्डिंग स्टैम्प होती है उसके बेसिस पे आपका स्टे डिसाइड होगा. जो बोर्डिंग स्टैम्प की डेट होगी will be considered your last day of stay in India. Moving further, so you will be considered as resident, right? If any of the above condition gets satisfied. Now my point is, the conclusion is that in case you want to be considered as non-resident and you want that your income from stipend does not get taxed in India, so make sure आप 29th मई या उससे पहले इंडिया छोड़ दो, ठीक है, which will count to around 59 days or less in India, ठीक है, and your income won't be taxed in India. आप अब लेट्स से अगर आप 30th में या फिर एक हफ्ते बाद तक इंडिया छोड़ के जा रहे हो, तो यू कैन गो अहेड एंड रिक्वेस्ट योर एम्प्लॉयर टू कॉल यू अर्ली, ठीक है. बट लेट्स से कि आपका एम्प्लॉयर नहीं माना एंड यू आर लिविंग इंडिया बियॉन्ड 29th of May, देन यू विल हैव टू डिसाइड वेदर यू आर रेजिडेंट एंड ऑर्डिनरी रेजिडेंट और रेजिडेंट बट नॉट ऑर्डिनरीली रेजिडेंट, ठीक है. सो लेट्स मूव फर्दर. इफ any of the following condition gets satisfied, then you will be considered as resident but not ordinarily resident. But if none of the condition gets satisfied, then you will be considered as resident and ordinarily resident. Okay, so first condition is, if your stay in India, the first condition is, if out of 10 previous financial years other than the relevant financial year, in 9 years you are non-resident, then you will be considered as resident but not ordinarily resident. Now the point is, अगर आप पहली बार इंडिया से बाहर किसी ओस बिल्डिंग कोर्स के लिए जा भी रहे हो, तो ये तो पूरी हाई प्रोबेबिलिटी है कि पिछले 10 साल से आप इंडिया में ही रहे हो ज़्यादातर समय के लिए, ठीक है. ऐसा तो नहीं होने वाला कि आप 9 साल के लिए आउट ऑफ 10 साल इंडिया से मेजर पोर्शन के लिए बाहर रहे होगे, करेक्ट. सो पहली कंडीशन यू वोंट बी एबल टू सेटिस्फाई. अब नेक्स्ट कंडीशन, इफ योर स्टे इन इंडिया इज 729 days और लेस इन 7 years प्रीसीडिंग द रेलेवेंट फाइनेंशियल ईयर, ठीक है. यानी कि जिस फाइनेंशियल ईयर में आप इंडिया छोड़ के जा रहे हो उससे पिछले 7 साल में आपकी स्टे इन टोटल 729 days या उससे कम होनी चाहिए. नाउ माई पॉइंट इज, एक साल में होते हैं 365 दिन, ठीक है, और अगर 7 साल का कंसिडर किया जाए तो हो जाते हैं 2555 दिन, ठीक है. अब अगर उसमें से 729 दिन में लेस कर देता हूं तो लगभग बचते हैं 1826 दिन. अब 1826 दिन को अगर आप 30 से डिवाइड कर देते हो तो लगभग बनते हैं 8 साढ़े 8 महीने, ठीक है. अब ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि फॉर अराउंड 9 महीने, साढ़े 8-9 महीने के लिए आप पिछले 7 साल में इंडिया से बाहर रहे हुए. अगर तो आप रहे हो तो आपको कंसिडर कर लिया जाएगा रेजिडेंट बट नॉट ऑर्डिनरीली रेजिडेंट, अदरवाइज यू विल बी R1. नाउ इन केस यू आर R, which is very high probability, so which incomes get taxed in India? First, income accruing and arising or deemed to accrue and arise in India, income received or deemed to be received in India, or income accrue or arise, deemed to accrue or arise, received, deemed to receive आउटसाइड इंडिया. और इसी थर्ड क्लॉज में आपकी जो स्टाइपेंड इनकम है वो टैक्सेबल हो जाएगी इन इंडिया एंड यू विल हैव टू फाइल इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न एज वेल एज इन योर केस मे बी यू विल हैव टू you will have to pay tax as well. Now the point is that you can claim the tax credit for the tax which is being paid in Germany on your income over there, but you still will be liable to pay tax and file return in India. Maybe you will not have any tax liability in India, but still you will have to file income tax return. I hope this video is useful for you guys. अगर कोई questions हैं तो आप comment भी कर सकते हैं in comment section. With that said, let's end the video.